Portuguese Language Analysis by Sarah Thomas and Rachel O'Leary. Portuguese has a very diverse background influenced by many different cultures. In 218 BC, Portuguese was first brought to the Iberian Peninsula by the Romans. Soldiers, merchants, and different settlers brought the language of Latin to the area. At this time, it was known as Vulgar Latin, as it was influenced by the many different merchants coming into the area. At the 5th century, the language began to take on its own form after the fall of Rome, and by 711 AD, the Moors had invaded the Iberian Peninsula and held Portugal under Muslim rule until 1185 AD. At this time, Arabic then made its influence into the Portuguese language, and it still lingers today in words that begin with the AL sound. After the Moors' fall in 1185 AD, the Catholic Church moves in to reclaim and settle the area now known as Portugal. In 1290 AD, King Dinas announces that what was then known as Vulgar Latin should be the official language of Portugal and is now known as Portuguese. Between the 14th and 16th centuries, Archaic Portuguese was spoken, with influences from the languages of Asia, Africa, and the Americas brought to them by the very varied cultures moving in as merchants and settlers. By the end of the 16th century, modern Portuguese is now developed. Modern Portuguese was reformed in 1916. This reformation had the spelling of Portuguese words now reflect the pronunciation of the words. This modified version was adapted by Brazil in 1943, and in 2009, a new orthography to unite all the Portuguese dialects was adopted in Brazil. This new orthography changed the gaps between Brazilian Portuguese and European Portuguese. Portuguese became an official language of the European Union in 1983. Today, Portuguese is spoken by 220 million speakers worldwide. It is the official language of Portugal, Brazil, Mozambique, Angola, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, and São Tomé and Príncipe. It is also the co-official language of Macau and Equatorial Guinea. Most Portuguese countries speak the same dialect of Portuguese. This one exception is the country of Brazil, which has its own unique dialect. Portuguese is a Romance language that has been derived from Latin, just like Spanish and Italian. Portuguese uses the Latin script writing system, which is almost identical to our English system. The Portuguese alphabet is similar to the English alphabet in that both languages have the same 26 letters. The difference here is that Portuguese does not use the letters K, W, and Y, as they are only used in foreign loanwords. In Portuguese, there are 7 vowel sounds. The diagram below shows the 7 different Portuguese vowels along with the English comparisons. Along with the 7 vowel sounds, there are also 20 consonant sounds. The letter K is not part of the Portuguese alphabet, but it is used in certain words, mostly from other countries. Pronunciation is different from English in that some of the words are pronounced more nasally. These words are indicated by an M or an N in the word. They may also be indicated by the presence of a tilde above a vowel such as an A or O. Consonants are pronounced similar to those in other Romance languages. The double R is pronounced nasally in European Portuguese, but is pronounced gutturally in Brazilian Portuguese. LH is pronounced like the Spanish LY, and NH is pronounced like the Spanish NY. When accenting words, the stress can fall in 2 different places. If the word ends in an A, AS, O, OS, or an EM, the stress is placed on the penultimate syllable. If the word ends in an I, IS, U, US, or a consonant aside from S and EM, the stress falls on the final syllable. We now start our discussion of morphology. Morphology is the study of how words are formed. The Portuguese language is very similar to that of Spanish. Words are considered either masculine or feminine based on their endings. Typically, masculine words will end in an O, and feminine words will end in an A. Like most other Indo-European languages, there are four major word classes. These word classes are as follows: nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. There are also many cognates between English and Portuguese that can vary based on their endings. However, the meaning is still somewhat the same. Portuguese and English are somewhat similar and have some similar cognates. For example, English words that end in ty, such as city or university, end with dade in Portuguese and are always classified as feminine. English words ending in tion, such as station, situation, and continuation, are changed in Portuguese as follows. English words ending in sion are changed in Portuguese as shown below. English words ending in stion, such as combustion, congestion, and suggestion, are shown in Portuguese below. English words ending in gion are changed in Portuguese as below. English words ending in ly can be changed to Portuguese by changing the endings to ment as shown below. Likewise, English words ending in ble, such as reasonable or convertible, end with the vel in Portuguese as shown on the chart below. English words ending in ple, such as example, triple, or temple, can end in a plo. For example, the word triple is now triplo. English words ending in ary, such as seminary, visionary, or urinary, now have an A with an accent, RIO, ending in Portuguese. English words ending in CY, such as democracy or diplomacy, end with the CIA in Portuguese. English words ending in an IST now end in an ISTA in Portuguese. English words ending in ENC, such as emergency or agency, end with ENCIA in Portuguese. English words ending in ENT, such as imprudent, latent, or fluent, end with the ENTE ending in Portuguese. Knowing these differences between the English words and their Portuguese cognates can help teachers of Portuguese students. By showing these students the similarities, students will be able to better make connections to their L1 knowledge to their new knowledge in English. In Portuguese, adjectives come before the noun they are describing. This is unlike the English language, where we always place our adjectives after the noun. For example, in English we would say, my favorite color is pink. If we were following the Portuguese rules of language, we would say, my color favorite is pink. Words in the Portuguese language, as mentioned before, are also classified as masculine and ending in an O, or feminine by ending in an A. Plural words, like English, end in an S. Portuguese also retains many grammatical forms that are not found in other Romance languages anymore. For example, the future subjunctive, I will talk, future perfect subjunctive, I will have talked, personal infinitive, in order for me to talk, and the inflective infinitive, without talking, are still found in Portuguese speech today. Word order is also much more predictable in English than it is in Portuguese. In English, we have a set pattern of what words mean what and how to say a certain phrase. In Portuguese, 3 sentences can mean one general meaning. For example, the 3 sentences below show that there are 3 different ways of saying, I leave at 3 o'clock. All of these sentences are perfectly acceptable in normal conversation. Like the sentences that can be said in many different ways and mean the same thing, Questions can also be asked in a variety of ways. This can often become confusing for non-native Portuguese speakers to understand. Many of the body language behaviors shown by speakers of Portuguese align closely with the Western standards. In the US, we typically stand an arm's length away from different people when we are speaking. This is also true of Portuguese speakers. We also are accustomed to expecting handshakes when first meeting someone and when greeting business associates. This is also true of Portuguese speakers. Other similarities in pragmatics are smiles and politeness are considered important. This is true in the US and in Portugal. When speaking, voice tends to be low and calm, but may rise during emotional conversations or when the speaker gets excited. Also, the use of hands to describe is commonly found in Portuguese speakers and is found in American speakers as well. Also similar to the United States, eye contact during conversation is used to show interest. While there are many similarities between Portuguese pragmatics and American pragmatics, there are also several differences. First, hugs or pats on the back are not considered uncommon after a relationship has been established. Friends will also kiss on the cheeks when seeing each other, giving one kiss on the right cheek and then moving over to the left cheek. Finally, Portuguese speakers are known to ask what we would call personal questions. This is not meant to pry, however, this is meant to show that the person cares and has concern for the other person. While there are many similarities between Portuguese behaviors of speaking and American behaviors, there are some behaviors that teachers need to be aware of so that they can be culturally sensitive to their Portuguese students. For example, Portuguese speakers tend to use formal registers when speaking to others. To us, this may be seen as an extreme form of politeness. Teachers should know that students may call teacher simply teacher because they are taught from a young age that titles are important. This should not be seen as disrespect, however, they are showing you the utmost respect by addressing you as your title. Teachers should also address family members of students as Mr., Mrs., or Doctor. Using first names without permission is considered disrespectful in Portuguese cultures. Second, Portuguese parents will often offer more context and details than is needed to answer a question about their child, and will make their point after explaining all of the details. For teachers, you may need to be sensitive to the fact that parents might seem to go on and on and on, however, they will eventually make their point. Third, when adults talk, children are taught not to interrupt until they are done. For teachers with Portuguese students in their classrooms, this may be seen as the students are being passive or not engaged. However, this is not true. They may still be engaged, they are just waiting for you to be done before they ask their questions. Third, children are taught not to make eye contact with authority figures or adults as a form of respect. This may show as a Portuguese student looking down when talking to you or away when talking to other authority figures. Teachers need to know that this is not meant to show disrespect. This is shown respect for you as the authority figure. Finally, in their writing, Portuguese students give many details in their storytelling. This will make their stories not linear, and it may seem as though they are jumping from different topics back to where they started. For teachers, you need to show Portuguese students how, when we write in America and the US, that we need to have linear stories. So we need to have a beginning, middle, and end. Thank you for watching our presentations. These are the references we used.